toelukt.
Good morning, everybody. I'm doing a hike in the Faroe Islands and I'm trying to avoid the path that everybody follows because it's full of mud and it's really slippery. So it's been a while since my last video, so I'm going to give you a little bit of context. I'm visiting the Faroe Islands, and from here I'll go to Iceland. The plan today is to do a hike to a lighthouse. The lighthouse is the Kallur Lighthouse. So as you can see, the trick is finding the best path. If I go that way, it's too muddy and I will probably slip. So I try to get all the paths that have more grass in them, on them. To give you a bit of context, I arrived yesterday to the Faroe. We took a flight from the Netherlands. We had a stop in Copenhagen, Denmark, and then we took another flight to the Faroe. I thought that the Faroe belonged to Iceland, but actually they belong to Denmark. So I believe many flights depart from there. The idea is to stay here for a week and then we will go to Iceland. Yesterday it was an easy day. I just arrived, explored a bit the city of Trøllanes or something like that, or Tórshavn. I'm not really sure how you pronunciate the name. It's the capital. And today the idea was to do the first hike. If you come to the Faroe Islands, the thing that you would be doing the most is hikes. You have to be equipped because the weather changes easily. So you might start with the foggy day and then it can be rainy and then it can be sunny, and yeah, who knows. As you can see, it's really foggy. Our first hike took us to the city of Klakkur. There we took a ferry, and the ferry took us to a city called, I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm going to show you. It's kind of Mikladalur, and from there we took a bus to the town of Trøllanes or Trøllanes, and now we are hiking. This hike was not free. There are some trails that are free and others that are paid. This one is a paid hike and it cost us around 25 euros. They have a limited free supply of sticks. The sticks are the ones that you can use to help yourself through the hills, but I didn't get any. By the time I was there, a big group was before me and they took all the sticks. So that's why I'm trying to be more careful and choosing better my steps. For example, taking this path might not be the best, but I will give it a try. Yeah, as you see, not the best idea. I thought there were rocks there, but no. This is going to be a tough one. I might need to go up. Yeah, this was better because there is just too much water. Now my feet is wet. I can feel it up to my sock. This might not be the best shoes. I know that some people wear boots. Depends on how many hikings you will be doing. But I really think that if you come to the Faroe, you are going to be hiking. At the airport, the only kind of people we saw were people really well equipped with hiking boots, waterproof jackets, waterproof pants, hiking gear. Some people might be even more into this than me. I don't know if you can see it, but people were left far behind. Despite the terrain, I'm keeping a good path. I meant like I'm keeping a good pace. It's getting really windy, and I think I'm barely halfway there. In case you're wondering, these blue poles are marking the path, but you can't just, I mean, you can use them as a guide, but I wouldn't stick next to them. All the people are following them, and that's why you get those mud pools. So if now they are bad on the way back, they are going to get worse. I think the first part of the trail is the hardest, and now it's getting easier. The first part is the hardest because you are going, the hill is too steep, and you have to go like on a diagonal up, and you don't have too much room to move. The paths are really narrow, but here is wider. It's like walking up but through a field, so it feels way easier. There are so many ships. I think I read that in this country there were more ships than people, like 3 to 1 or something like that. Good thing about the apartment where I'm staying, it's more like an Airbnb with many apartments actually, is that they have washing machine and dryer. So if my clothes gets too dirty, I can just wash it. If every hike is going to be like this one, I'm probably be doing that every day. So as you can see, we could go that way, but you can barely see the end of the hill and it's too muddy, so we might take this other path that has more grass in it and it feels a bit more stable. Still not the easiest, but yeah, those paths where everybody's taking, they will just get worse as the day passes. Remember when I told you that the beginning was the hardest? Well, here it's getting harder too. It's becoming slippery. God damn it. It's even worse than before. They look comfortable in this weather. So I had to abandon the main path. You can see the blue pipe there. It's just too muddy. I know I said that like a million times, but I really want to emphasize it. I could go that way, but I think I'm going too far from the delimited path. I read somewhere that you can explore a bit, but you shouldn't go that far from the path, because yeah, the farmers or the landowners might get annoyed. Although I just pay kind of a fortune to walk here. So, and there's the lighthouse. Look how weird the effect that the view causes. The person looks bigger than the lighthouse. It's like a giant. I must admit that I'm a bit disappointed. I thought it was like a huge lighthouse, but I guess it makes sense. If you are this high, then you don't need to make or build something huge. You already gained the high with the hill. But yeah, this is it. Now, shitty day for the hike, I think, because there's no view. But yeah, at least I made it. Maybe if I wait some time the fog will dissipate, but yeah, I don't know. Yesterday the fog dissipated around 4 in the afternoon, so yeah, it's barely 10 a.m. So I ended up leaving the lighthouse because I don't have any hope for the fog to dissipate. It's just too dense. So I came instead to see the place where James Bond was buried. And as you can see, a lot of people came here. That's why it's all moody. So there you have it, in memory of James Bond, 1962-2021. The proper function of the man is to live, not to exist. There's the sea. I haven't seen the sea since I left the boat. You have to be really careful here because bad sleep and you end up right at the end of the cliff, right at the sea. It looks like it's cleaning a bit. So maybe if we stay here we might get the chance. It was a really expensive hike to just go back and miss it. The lighthouse is over there, you cannot see it. And there you can see the sea and one of the other islands. It's funny to see how the fog is moving. I don't know if it's visible on the video, but it's like doing like some kind of it's like spinning. But maybe we are lucky and it's dissipating. I think I could have stayed there the whole day. The wind is changing, it's shifting direction. So every time the fog seems to go away, eventually it comes back. So as you can see, this part, which was before all clean, now it's getting foggy again. And at the same time you can see that it's cleaning or moving a bit. But as soon as the wind changes, it will go back as the way it was. So yeah, I'm going back. There are other towns to see, and we have to finish before 3, which is the time that the ferry departs. So yeah, before when we came this way, we saw that it was really steep and we couldn't see anything from this line below, and now as you can see it's a bit more clean. Maybe if I will wait for a couple hours, 2-3 hours, I'll get to see the lighthouse and the whole thing, but I don't have that time. Maybe the point to take from my hike is that if you come and you decide to do it a bit later. I thought that doing it early would be the best, but it might not. I saw the fog dissipate and I consider going back for a while to see the lighthouse again, but as soon as the wind changed, then everything came back to normal. Now the fog is covering again the hills. So if you go early, you have to deal with the fog, and if you go a bit later, if you take the 10 hours ferry, then you have to deal with more people. So you have to keep those things in mind depending on what your idea is for the trip. If you are for the hike, I think any time is okay. But if you are there for the photos and you don't want people in it, you have to go early and yeah, and hope for no fog. When we came this morning, all this was a cover, we couldn't see anything, so we had to stick to the path but now everything is perfectly visible and you can choose other routes. I didn't see this thing before. There was a similar one a bit farther. There's ship shit everywhere. Look at the cliffs. It's impressive. Look at that one. The James Bond tomb was close to one of those. That's what I was trying to show you, but there was just too much fog. And of course I had to fall. I couldn't finish the hike without falling, so now I'm a bit dirty. At least I should be grateful that I'm not as dirty as other people. One guy looked like he just went into the mud and he made, I don't know, he kind of swim in the mud. I don't have the right word at the moment in English to express that he took like a bath in the mud, but he was all covered in mud, so it must have been a pretty bad fall. All right, I'm almost out of the hiking field, so yeah, I can say I made it. I didn't make it clean, but I made it. We have to keep the door closed so the ship doesn't go away. Let's see if I can make this last bit without falling. It's a bit tricky, but I'm going to use the rocks. I don't want to fall again. And I'm out, finally. This is the town where we are. At least you can see the name, because my pronunciation is probably terrible. Trøllanes or Trøllanes. I made a quick stop at this kiosk for a small coffee, and look at the things that they put so it won't be pulled by the wind. The rock, the chain, and the chain is tied to the cabin, and it has 4 of those. So imagine how strong the wind must be at some point in the year that they need 4 of those. Look at the size of this stone. Probably this stone is more heavy than the whole kiosk. And now we are in the Mikladalur town. It's a bit bigger than the other one. At least this one has more than 3 houses. And that's the bus that we took. This is a toilet. It has a grass roof. Where in the world would you see something like this? I'm curious on how it looks inside. Yeah, it's all made of wood. Huh. And here you have a view of the town. It's really nice. So we might stop for something to eat and then we will continue. I think these things were used to carry stuff from down below. They seem to be out of use now. Everybody comes here to see the statue of a mermaid. That's the highlight. And I think there's also a small cafe, small restaurant. So that's a place where you stop to eat something. There, this one. So it says that if the flag is out, that means that they are open. If the flag is not there, it's closed. I actually see something with this. Oh yeah, it actually works. You can see the mermaid down below. That soup was delicious. And the idea of to see the mermaid after worked perfectly. Now there's barely any people, and before it was crowded. I think the best advice is to always go opposite to what other people are doing, so you get to enjoy things a bit less crowded. The only problem that I'm having right now is that my feet feel so cold. They are still wet from the hike. I completely forgot about bringing an extra pair of socks. I thought about it, but then I forgot. This is incredible. And now it's crowded again. But we are leaving. The bus will depart in about 15 minutes. Cars enter from the back and they left from the front. We were over there. It's getting really windy. There you have a view of the city. And the idea is to go and see the Klakkur. It's another highlight. I think it's going to be about 45 minutes hike. Although it shouldn't be that steep. As you can see, there's a kind of a road. It's too windy, it's too cold, and my feet are still wet, so I'll try with the car. On a different day I would have walked the whole way, but it's been already a long day. From here it should be around 15 minutes walking, maybe a bit more, maybe like 20. Okay, there's a sign here. So we're here. I want to get there. 1.5 hours both ways. Huh? Okay, let's see. Let's figure it together. This path is way different than the one before. It has little rocks, it has gravel on it, so it's easy to hike. I think the other one had like a moderate difficulty, and this one is an easy difficulty. I can even see some steps. Look at this. You can see how my shoes are not drying. Must be because my socks are also wet. I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue. I can see people taking the path on the right because, yeah, I can see mud on the main path. I don't know if I'm in the mood to go through the same again. Today the step was really hard with all the mud, and I fear that it's going to turn out to be the same. And it's really windy, it's really cold, so I might need to make a decision. At least I have a nice view from here if I decide not to go up. Wow, this is beautiful. Probably from the top there's a great view. Got them weather. I was told that yesterday it rained non-stop. That's why now everything is full of mud. So yeah, it's a no-go. It's getting worse and worse, and it's starting to rain. So I think unfortunately I will need to cancel the hike. Fuck. According to Google, the view doesn't change that much. So if you're not up to go, you can still get, I think, a decent photo from here. And me saying 15 minutes ago that this was going to be easier. Yeah, right, it was easier until that pile of rocks, but after that it's just a bunch of mud balls. I think the worst mistake I made on this trip was not getting higher hiking shoes, like some boots. The amount of mud is such that actually you really need it, and I think all year around it rains a lot, so it's not like this is just now. You can get this also in July, August, September. Maybe some seasons are a bit more drier, but if the day before your hike it rains, it's going to be like this probably. So you really need a good shoes, good hiking shoes. Maybe as I said, go for some boots. Even get an extra pair of socks. My socks are soaking wet, and that's already annoying. I think that if I would have had some hiking boots, I would have gone all the way up. But yeah, sometimes you have to quit to be able to win, and I think in this that's the case. I'd rather quit today and be very prepared tomorrow with an extra pair of socks, maybe even carry an extra towel to dry my feet, because I think this is going to be the same for every single day in the islands. So yeah, that's that. I'm going back, I'm going to get the car, and I'll see, maybe for the time that I didn't spend going up, I can use it for something else. There's like an artificial pool here. I think they might use it as a water storage. Another advantage of the hiking boots is that they protect your foot, your ankle from getting twisted or whatever. Mostly when you, for example, you walk over a stone and your feet does something like this, then it's going to protect your ankle. Compared to this one, I feel like every hike I did in my life was a child's play. First time ever that I have to drop a hike because I don't have enough equipment to carry on.